the chapter of central nervous system. Today in this session we are going to discuss a topic called cerebellum. Okay, cerebellum. So you all know it is considered as little brain, and this topic we are going to discuss under the following methods. First one is parts of cerebellum. So there are different types of classification of cerebellum, like anatomical classification, phylogenetical classification and functional. We are going to discuss about functional classification of cerebellum in this session. And then connections of cerebellum. So in connections of cerebellum, we are going to discuss about three different types of connections. First one is neuronal circuits within cerebellum. So what are the different types of connection that are present between the cells of cerebellum? Neuronal circuits between different cells of cerebellum. And what are the different afferents which bring information towards cerebellum, and what are the different efferents which take information away from the cerebellum. And then again we will have to discuss about functions carried by cerebellum and then cerebellar disorders in brief. So this is the brief outline in which we are going to discuss this topic. So let us first see the functional classification of cerebellum. Okay, so let's start cerebellum first. So it's like butterfly shaped structure to draw, and one cloud you need to draw like this. One more on the other side, and then this one a lobe of cerebellum over there. So this is the structure of cerebellum, and now let's see what are the different parts of this structure. So this portion, the middle portion, this entire thing, it is called as spinocerebellum. So I am writing CB as abbreviation for cerebellum, and this part we are going to call it as neocerebellum, and this one vestibulocerebellum. So let's discuss function of each part of cerebellum. So this spinocerebellum, which is present in the midline portion, it mainly controls. So this spinocerebellum, which is located in midline of the cerebellum, it controls the tone and posture controlled by the axial muscles and trunk muscles of the body. And this part, the neocerebellum, it controls fine-skilled movements. And this vestibulocerebellum, it contains posture, equilibrium and extraocular eye movements. So these are the main functional entities of the cerebellum. And cerebellum, it has outer grey matter and inner white matter. So there are three layers present in this outer grey matter. So what are these three layers? First one is the molecular layer. And second thing is the Purkinje cell layer. And third one is granular cell layer. So in these cells, these type of cells are present. And coming to the inner white matter. Okay, inner it has white matter. So it has deep cerebellar nuclei. So there are 4 pairs of deep cerebellar nuclei. So what are they? So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So first one is the dentate nucleus, and second is emboliform nucleus. And next one is vestigial nucleus, and third one is last one is the globose nucleus. So these are the 4 different cerebellar nuclei. And this emboliform and lobes, they are together called as nucleus interpositus. Nucleus interpositus. So this is in brief about parts of cerebellum. Now let's see the neuronal circuits present within the cerebellum. So as we have discussed already, the cerebellar cortex has three layers. Molecular layer, this one is the molecular layer. So let us assume the dotted line above this portion is the molecular layer. Next one is the Purkinje cell layer. So in between these two dotted cells is the Purkinje cell layer. Next below this dotted line, G, granule cell layer. So what are the cells present in the, let's see. So this granule cell layer, it has granule cells within them. And this is the axon of the granule cells which ascend up above the molecular layer and it bifurcates into T-shaped manner. So these fiber is called as parallel fiber. So they are parallel fiber formed by the T-shaped bifurcation coming from the axon of itself granule cell. Okay. And another type of cell is present in the granule cell layer, that is called as Golgi cell. So this is Golgi cell. And this has an influence over the granule cell. So this cell is Golgi cell. And in the Purkinje cell layer, it has a cell called as, of course, it is Purkinje cell. So this assumed it's an axon of the Purkinje cell. And in the molecular layer, we have two other cells. They are stellate cells. And another one is the bigger one than stellate cells, that is basket cells. So this is stellate cell. And this one is the basket cell. Now let's see what are the connections between them. So these granule cells, it is sending connections to Golgi cell, Purkinje cell, stellate cell and basket cells. And all these connections are stimulatory. So the parallel fiber stimulates remaining cells of the cerebellar cortex. And what is the neurotransmitter? It is of course glutamate. Glutamate is the neurotransmitter released by the parallel fibers of granule cells. Now let's see what are the other connections. So now the Golgi cell, it is causing inhibition of granule cell. Okay? And at the same time, the stellate cell is inhibiting Purkinje cell. The basket cell is also inhibiting Purkinje cell. And the only output from the cerebellum is from the Purkinje cell. So it is the only output coming from the cerebellum. So output is from this Purkinje cell. And the output is towards deep cerebellar nuclei. So towards cerebellar nuclei, the output is coming. And of course, this one is also inhibitory output. So apart from the granule cell, remaining all the cells, they are going to secrete a neurotransmitter called as GABA. All of them are inhibitory. Okay. Now let's see, two types of loops are there here. So first observe the granule cell, it is stimulating Golgi cell and this Golgi cell is in turn inhibiting granule cell. So this type of loop is called as negative feedback loop. Now let's observe another loop. So the granule cell, it is stimulating Purkinje cell and this Purkinje cell is inhibited by stellate cell and basket cells which are also stimulated by the granule cell. So this type of inhibition is called as feed-forward inhibition. So two types of inhibitions you are seeing in the different cells of cerebellum. Now let's see what are the inputs towards cerebellum. So the inputs of cerebellum are of two types. So first one is the climbing fibers. Okay, and second one is the mossy fiber. So let's see where the inputs are going. So I am going to color the inputs with the orange. So first one is the climbing fiber. So this climbing fiber, it is going up and it is going to stimulate Purkinje cell, deep cerebellar nuclei, and also the Golgi cell also it is stimulating. So this is climbing fiber. So where from this climbing fiber is emerging? So climbing fiber is coming from inferior olivary nucleus. And the specialty of it is the climbing fiber, one climbing fiber, it is associated with only one Purkinje cell. So 1:1 ratio is there. And here they are stimulatory. So all these climbing fiber, they will stimulate Purkinje cells, deep cerebellar nuclei, and also Golgi cell. Now what is the second input? Second input is mossy fiber. So this mossy fiber, it will causes stimulation of Golgi cell, granule cell, and also deep cerebellar nuclei. So these mossy fibers, where they are emerging, there are different afferents coming towards cerebellum. Only the one from inferior olivary nucleus is climbing fiber. So remaining afferent axons together, they form this mossy fiber. So if you observe one mossy fiber, it is innervating many granule cells. So this mossy fiber, it also stimulates granule cells, Golgi cells, and deep cerebellar nuclei. And via granule cells, parallel fibers, it is indirectly stimulating many, some about up to 1 million Purkinje cells. It is stimulating 1 million Purkinje cells. So these are the inputs coming towards cerebellum. So there are two inputs to sum up: climbing fibers and mossy fibers. Climbing fibers, it is stimulating Purkinje cell, deep cerebellar nuclei, and Golgi cell. And the mossy fiber, it is stimulating granule cell, Golgi cells, and deep cerebellar nuclei. So one climbing fiber to one Purkinje cells. And this mossy fiber, it stimulates many granule cells directly, and via parallel fiber, it will stimulate many more Purkinje cells. The importance of it is that whenever we are learning a new activity each time, the activity in the climbing fiber is shoot up. Okay, so new learning activity will stimulate climbing fiber activity. The deep cerebellar nuclei, it is getting influenced by Purkinje cell, mossy fiber, and also climbing fibers. One is inhibitory, that is the influence from Purkinje is inhibitory, and the other mossy and climbing, they are stimulating. Apart from that, so from the brain stem, thalamus also, it is getting stimulatory influence. The ultimate effect is output from deep cerebellar nucleus is excitatory. So these are the neuronal circuits present within the cerebellum. Now let's see what are the afferents that are carrying information towards cerebellum. So afferents of cerebellum. So I have prepared a mnemonic to easily remember this one. So let's see what is the mnemonic for this. So CVS OT converted rapidly into respiratory OT. Okay, so this is the mnemonic I prepared to learn easily about different of cerebellum. So this C is cuneo-cerebellar tract. Okay, cuneo-cerebellar tract, and V is vestibulo-spinal tract. Sorry, vestibulo-cerebellar tract. Okay, and then S is spino-cerebellar tract, and this has again two divisions, dorsal and ventral. Next one is olivo-cerebellar tract, the one that is arising from the inferior olivary nucleus. And next one is the tectocerebellar tract, and C is cortico-pontocerebellar tract, and R1 is reticulocerebellar tract, and another R is rubrocerebellar tract. Now let's see the specialties of each one by one. Okay, right. Cuneo-cerebellar tract, it carries proprioceptive sensations. Proprioception from neck and arm muscles. Okay, and of course vestibulospinal, it is carrying information from the vestibular nucleus. And dorsal spinocerebral tract, cerebellar tract, it is carrying information about unconscious kinesthetic sensation and also cutaneous afferents from trunk and also leg muscles. Okay, and ventral spinocerebellar tract, it is carrying proprioception from all parts of body. And then this olivocerebellar tract, how it is carrying information means, so from the cerebral cortex, brain stem, spinal cord, the information is going, proprioception information from all over the body, from these areas it is going to be into inferior olivary nucleus. And you know, from the inferior olivary nucleus, which fiber? That is climbing fiber. It is getting information towards the Purkinje cell layer of the cerebellum. Okay, and tectocerebral tract. So tectocerebral tract, we have superior colliculus and inferior colliculus. So which sense organ is related? So I remember easily like this. So eyes are present above than the ears never born. So superior colliculus, it is carrying information from eye and inferior from the ear. So the sensory information from an eye, ear is carried by the tectocerebellar tract. And cortico-pontocerebellar tract, the information from motor cortex, that is, what are the areas of motor cortex? Area number 4 and 6. The information from this cortex is going towards pons and then towards the cerebellum in this cortico-pontocerebellar tract. And of course, reticulocerebellar tract, the name itself indicating that it is carrying information from the reticular formation. And the rubrocerebral tract, it is carrying information from the red nucleus. So if you observe carefully, so cerebellum is receiving proprioception, kinesthetic sensation, cutaneous afferents from different parts of the body, and also sensory information from eye and ear. And at the same time, it is getting information, motor information from the cerebral cortex, motor cortex. Okay, so cerebellum is receiving both sensory information and motor information. So this particular point is important to understand one of the function of the cerebellum later. So this is the mnemonic we need to remember. CVS, OT converted rapidly to RS in order to remember different afferents of cerebellum. Now let's see the efferent connections which are carrying information away from the cerebellum. Efferents of cerebellum. So functionally, you know, the cerebellum is divided into 3 areas, right? So first one is the vestibulocerebellum, and next one is the neocerebellum, and third one is the spinocerebellum. So each of this portion, it is associated with the deep nuclei of cerebellum. So vestibulocerebellum, it is associated with vestigial nucleus. Okay, vestigial nucleus. And neocerebellum, it is associated with the dentate nucleus. And spinocerebellum, it is associated with nucleus interpositus. So it is nothing but combination of emboliform and globose interpositus. Okay, and from there, how the information is going traveling nowadays. So from this vestigial nucleus, the information is going towards vestibular nucleus and also medial ascending reticular formation and also the medial longitudinal bundle. Okay? From there the information is going to these areas. And so it helps in controlling eye movements. Okay? And what are the tracts that are influenced by this thing? So vestibular nucleus is involved. So vestibulospinal tract is influenced. Okay? And also reticulospinal tract is influenced by this particular portion of cerebellum. So they have influence over 3, 4, 6 cranial nuclei. That's how they are going to control these eye movements. Now let's see the other one. Neocerebellum via dentate nucleus. It is going to influence red nucleus and also ventrolateral nucleus of thalamus. From there, the information is going to area 4 and 6. So this area 4 and 6 is the primary motor cortex. So via this, it is controlling the corticospinal tract. Okay, corticospinal tract. And spinocerebellum, it is giving this information to the nucleus and depositors to red nucleus and also reticular formation. So it is going to influence rubrospinal tract. So descending pathways, the cerebellum is influencing. Okay. So these are the different effects that are coming away from the cerebellum. Now let us discuss about what are the functions of cerebellum. Okay. So to remember the functions of cerebellum, so with the help of functions of cerebellum, we can pet a monkey. Okay. So let's see what is this P, T and M. So P is, it helps in regulation of posture and equilibrium. Okay, posture and equilibrium. And E is, it helps in the control of eye movements. Okay, and then T is, it helps in control of toe and stretch reflexes. And M, another M is, it helps in control of movements. Let's discuss one by one. So first one is control of posture and equilibrium. How it is going to do? Okay. So you all know that. So there are to and fro connection from in between vestibular nucleus and also vestibular portion of cerebellum. So there are many connections between them. And because of these connections and vestibular nucleus, it is having direct influence over alpha motor neurons of spinal cord. So which is the tract here involved? Vestibulospinal tract. Okay? Because of connections, many connections between vestibular cerebellum and vestibular nucleus. So the information is exchanged between them, and the vestibular nucleus via vestibulospinal tract, it is controlling alpha motor neurons of spinal cord, and thus the posture and equilibrium are regulated. And now eye movements. So in the eye movements part, we have discussed that the cerebellum has influence on 3, 4, 6 cranial nerve nuclei. Okay, especially pyramis portion of cerebellum. It helps in, it is having influence over these cranial nuclei, and 3, 4, 6 cranial nerve nuclei are involved in the extrinsic muscles, supply the extrinsic muscles of eye and regulate the eye movements. And coming to tone and stretch reflexes. So it is having a mixed influence here. So the medial portion of cerebellum, it is having inhibitory influence over tone and stretch reflex. Whereas lateral portion, it will stimulate the tone and stretch reflex. So what is the overall action means? So overall action is inhibitory over tone and stretch reflex. How means? So anterior lobe of cerebellum, it is having influence on gamma motor neurons. Okay. So these gamma motor neurons, of course, they have influence on the muscle spindle. Okay. And this effect is inhibitory. So tone and stretch reflex are inhibited by the action of cerebellum. Now let's see what is the influence over movements. So this cerebellum, it controls both voluntary and also involuntary movements. So while discussing the afferent part, we have discussed one important point. So why are these afferent? Cerebellum is receiving information, sensory information, proprioception, kinesthetic, cutaneous afferents from the eye and ear. It is receiving sensory information. So let's assume it's cerebellum. So it is getting information, all sorts of sensory information from all over the body. Okay, central info. And it is also having connections between basal ganglia, red nucleus, and also motor cortex area 4 and 6. And it is receiving motor information too. Okay, cerebellum. So this motor information, it tells the cerebellum what need to be done. So what action suppose we are supposed to do, that is explained by the motor information. So a motor copy is sent to the cerebellum. What need to be done? Okay. And this sensory information, it tells what action is actually done in the body. What has done in the body. This information is carried towards cerebellum by the sensory information. Now cerebellum will compare whether this motor copy and sensory copy have occurred same. So the brain has told to walk, suppose on a rough surface which is filled with stones. So initially we are going to sway, or sometimes we may fall on the irregular surface of the road. So the motor information is walk on the road. And sensory information, suppose there is imbalance on surface of the road, that movement what we have done, that information is carried by the sensory part of this afferents towards the cerebellum. Now cerebellum will compare the sensory copy and motor copy, and if there is any abnormality or any correction in the movement is needed, the cerebellum will detect that information and it is going to modulate that activity via influence over descending pathways. So you know that corticospinal tracts are influenced by the neocerebellum, right? So this modulation of this activity is done by the comparison of motor copy and sensory copy in the cerebellum. So these are the functions of cerebellum. Let's see briefly about what are the disorders that we will see in case of lesions of cerebellum. Okay? So we can remember the disorder with the help of mnemonic dash. So what are these things? Let's see. Okay? So first one is D. D is dysdiadochokinesis. What is this? Let's see later. And another D is drunken gut. And one more thing is dysmetria. Okay. And next A is ataxia and asthenia. And N is for nystagmus. And I is intentional tremors. And S is for slurred speech. And H is hypotonia. So what do you mean by dysdiadochokinesis? So diadochokinesia means ability to do rapid, repetitive, alternating movements. Suppose if someone asks to do like this is called as diadochokinesis. I am able to do rapid, repetitive movements. If I fail to do this rapid, repetitive, alternating movements, that is called as dysdiadochokinesis. And drunken gait, of course, many of us have seen in movies and in the society. So, drunk people will be swaying because of imbalance of cerebellum. So, there is a regulation of posture and equilibrium is affected when a person consumes alcoholic beverages. And dysmetria. So, cerebellum, it will help us to assess the distance we have to move. Suppose an object is there, I have to move certain point of distance. That is called as assessment of distance. Metria means measurement. So when there is lesions of cerebellum, that assessment is lost. Suppose if the subject asks to touch the tip of nose, they can't able to do this movement. They will be going like this. So this is called as past pointing. Okay. Dysmetria resulting in past pointing. Okay. Now ataxia means incoordination of movements is called as ataxia. Asthenia means there is feebleness or weakness in our movements, that is called as asthenia. Nystagmus. Nystagmus is rapid jerky movements of eyeball. So apparatchik movements of eyeball, what we call that gets nystagmus. And then intention tremors. So tremors is trembling of hands is called as tremors. So cerebellum, in cerebellar disorders we will see intention tremors, whereas in basal ganglia disorder we will see resting tremors. What is the difference between them? Resting tremors means when a person is not doing any activity, even at rest, the hand will tremble like this. That is called as resting tremor, which we are going to see in basal ganglia disorder, Parkinsonism. So intentional tremors means normally at rest the hand will not be having any tremors. But when they initiate to take an activity, suppose I want to grab a pen, that activity causes initiation of tremors. That is called as intentional tremors, which we are going to see in case of cerebellar disorder. And slurred speech will be altered, and the tone is decreased. That is hypotonia. Okay. So we have discussed about functional classification of cerebellum and what are the layers: outer gray matter, molecular, Purkinje and granule cell layer, and inner 4 deep cerebellar nuclei, and the neuronal connections between the cerebellum, different cells of cerebellum, and afferents. So we are going to discuss the afferents with the mnemonic series OT converted rapidly RS. Okay, and then the efferents from the 3 different parts of cerebellum, the nucleus. What are the tracks they are influencing? We have discussed. And functions with the help of mnemonic pet monkey. Okay, posture, equilibrium, eye movements both voluntary, involuntary, and also tone and stretch reflexes activity. And disorders of cerebellum with the help of mnemonic vanish. Thank you for listening.